In a world where the podcast multiverse is a concept about which we know frighteningly little, two dudes must become something greater than themselves, something elemental, something terrifying. A podcast. With great podcasting, there must also be great responsibility. To show the multiverse that it's full of people ready to believe in good. The multiverse will hunt us. They will send the dogs on us, because that's what needs to happen. But it won't be ready to hear from us. Not us, united. What time do you think people will be listening to this? In the morning, the afternoon, or evening? No one saying anything?
Probably, I would say, I don't know why this matters, but
I think listen to it all day.
afternoon, all day, good day,
All
folks.
day.
Good all day, folks. You heard that from Michael. That's your intro for perhaps our biggest, most insane episode yet. So we had to give you the biggest, most insane welcome we could think of.
You could do the welcome, like on our armchair expert.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
What up?
We have the biggest roster we've had thus far. You've experienced us at 2, 3, and sometimes 4. But today, you will be experiencing us, not us united, at 5. With me is always Michael.
That's me.
Perfect intro.
Yeah,
My cousin
that's all I
Jake.
need.
What up?
What up? Jeez. My brother Griffin.
Sup?
And then our dear friend, Levi.
Yo, what's up?
Missed opportunity. I thought you were going to say, let's go. That's all right.
I mean, I can, but
Well, he
I
stayed
Save
on
it for later.
I gotta save it for a good. I gotta save my good, my good phrase for a
Catchphrase.
later time.
There's gonna be a lot of good let go moments.
That's true. But no, we had to go big because we've been waiting for this big show to finally air, and then they decided to pull a fast one on us and release only 7 episodes of the 9-episode season. So they made us wait 5 more weeks. Stranger Things Volume 1 was released at the end of May, but we finally got the final 2 episodes. Volume 2 is out. It's happened. How many times has everyone watched it? Is it just a once through? Because I've watched it 1.5 times. I had to watch episode 8 twice because I woke up and watched it without my wife. And then my wife came down and was like, hey, I also want to watch it. So then I started episode 8 over again.
I have watched it at least 1 and 3, I'd say 3/4 times, because I got through 8, watched 9 up until about halfway. I had to go to work. I work in the afternoon, by the way, for people that don't know. I
Good
work late.
afternoon.
Good afternoon. So I got back and around 10, and me and my roommate watched the rest of it. So he hadn't started, so I restarted it with him. So I got a good viewing of episode 8 twice.
Nice.
Which was probably helpful, and then
It's good for research.
Yeah.
Griff, what about you?
I've seen both of them twice.
Both of them
No.
twice. Ooh, maybe the most. We'll see. Michael?
I'm a crisp 1.
Just 1.
Mm.
Over what span of time did you watch it?
I watched
Back to back?
No, I watched the first one on Friday, and then I watched the second one. I watched it in about like 2 sittings over the span of 2 days. So
Nice. You have a lot more control than others.
yeah, this is something that Nick has told me, is that I stop at the most inopportune moments, and I'm just like, anyways, I'm gonna go do something else.
It's definitely hard
so-
to not launch episode 9 the way 8 ends. So proud of you.
Yeah, I stopped at a pretty inopportune time at episode 9 because I'm like, anyways, I'm kind of tired.
Can't wait
I'm
to
gonna
hear
go
it. It's just gonna be like, yeah. So when so and so, I was just like, oh my god, of course you left right then. Anyway, Levi, what about for you?
Oh, I was back to back.
Back to back. You've watched
I had
it just the once.
Yeah, just the once back to back. I had like my friends that are like, let's do a watch party. So we watched the first one and it was like 9, and they're like, do you want to do the second one? I'm like, yeah, let's just do it. And so we just watched it back to back.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is that a question?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that one's a pretty pretty long episode, the finale, but it's broken up in good ways, so it's easy to watch, I think. Flies through.
I'm glad that we all had different views of
That
this
is
same
pretty
thing.
interesting.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna get away with it too because I started episode 9, and then Kate came down and she's like, "Hey, it's totally fine, but I also want to watch it." And I was like, "Ah, "All right." So we
But
started
anyways,
over again.
never go behind my back again.
No, she was totally good with it. Perfect. Okay, well, we did. You've already listened to us. We've already done episodes 1 through 7, and so we're just going to be discussing 8 and 9. Doesn't mean we're not going to mention things that happened in the previous season, so it's obviously spoilers for everything, but we're kind of trying to focus on those 2 episodes. But before we get into that, I want to have the briefest, and I mean the briefest, spoiler-free review of the show so that we can just jump in, because I think at this point people are not listening to volume 2 unless they've listened to it. So, unless they've watched it. So I think we should just give a brief roundtable of what to or what not what to expect, or what your thoughts were generally, and then we'll jump into this bad boy. So, Michael, how about we start off with you?
Sure. Well, for those who listened previously, I came in red hot off of Stranger Things Volume 4 or Volume 1 of Season 4, however those numbers work out. I think that there was a great episode in there that made so many things lift that episode up. I would say that coming off of that, I did expect maybe a little more from these, but I think everything was very good, and I would say good, not amazing for me.
Ah,
So, at me.
interesting. We won't at you.
No Atten. No Atten.
Griffin, how about for you? How were these 2 episodes? If you could tell somebody that hasn't seen it.
Um,
This is
a
your
lot
sales pitch.
happening.
A lot, yeah.
Okay.
I thought they were amazing.
Good.
And we're setting up for another good season 5.
That is true. Yeah, I was kind of conflicted. I was like, would they actually pull a fast one on us and just try to end the show, or are they going to stay true and try to have a 5th season?
I don't know.
Because with how long the episodes were, I was like, maybe this will just be the
Mhm.
finale. But
Mm.
anyway, we'll see. Levi, how about for you? What's your spoiler free?
Yeah, I thought they were very good. Because obviously we all know that there's a 5th season.
Mhm.
I didn't expect it to go incredibly hard, and for reasons I'll mention later in the spoiler talk. But I thought it was a very good last 2 episodes for this season 4, a good conclusion, and a good kind of kicker into season 5. Like, I think follow with Michael, wasn't blown away, but satisfied, very satisfied.
Nice. All right, Jake.
I loved the last year, I guess the last 2 episodes of season 4. Um, I thought there were some great shots, just cinematically. The plot went just,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, going off of volume 1 with such a cliffhanger, and then to come in and do that, like, I mean, almost times 2, and just the heart of, especially the last episode, I think is gonna it's gonna make some people happy. It's gonna make some people cry.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and yeah, it's very good way to kick us off to what's to come in season 5, and
Nice.
I recommend it to everyone that enjoys this genre of whether it's sci-fi or mystery or horror.
Yeah.
I'd say it's a little less horror
Mm.
volume 2 now that
Mm.
we've kind of understood like what's happened, how it goes. It's definitely has some scary and horror
Sure.
aspects, but it's definitely gotten
Mhm.
back to its like sci-fi kind of 80s roots, and
Yeah.
it it felt a little more like I think the older seasons of Stranger Things, which I still enjoy.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, no, I think I'm similar in some ways. Like I kind of understand where Michael's coming from and Levi's coming from, or maybe it's like it didn't quite go where it could have or whatnot. But I think kind of agreeing with Levi, knowing that there's another season, um, this was always for me. It seemed like the writing on the wall that when I was watching Volume 1 that this was very much going to be the Infinity War, Avengers Infinity War season
Mhm.
of Stranger Things. And then this just doubled down on that, I think, in a lot of ways,
Mhm.
to set up like a very epic conclusion in season 5. Um, but I think all the right ingredients were there. Like I think a very nice Molotov cocktail was made
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
in this
Oh, yeah.
episode,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
it was quite explosive in emotion, action, and
Mm.
straight badassery.
The three ingredients.
That's
And
all
so
you need.
not straight. Um, that actual.
Nice.
We'll get into that
We'll
later.
get into that later.
So foreshadow report.
Shadow, there you go. Well, there you go. If you truly are like, I'm gonna listen to a podcast, but I haven't seen Volume 2 yet. There's your quick little snippet. We took care of you.
Pause.
Now go watch this and come back. Because we're gonna jump right in because there's lots to discuss. So this is your spoiler warning. Here we go.
Whew.
Let's
Everybody take it.
go.
Everybody take it. There
Oh,
it
there
is.
it is. There it is. He's
So
back.
the way it ends,
So for
Yeah,
season 6, I think.
yeah. Um, yeah. No, this was wild. I mean, I think in order just to ease into it, maybe to honor episode 8, because it's easy to probably just
Mhm.
talk about 9 for this.
Mhm.
I think maybe we jump into like our favorite moments or least favorite moments of episode 8. Give Papa his due, and then we'll go into the finale. So starting with 8, yeah, the hype train was we just found out Vecna's true identity at the end of episode 7. We're like, holy shit, what's going on?
Mhm.
How do you guys think that this episode kind of broke that tension and then like led us into the finale? Like what were your guys' thoughts? Levi, let's start with you.
Yeah. One thing I noticed in episode 8 was that there was very little of Vecna. I think at like the very beginning we got some
Mhm.
scenes from him, but through the rest of it, it was just like preparation for episode 9. And I thought it like you said, it was you left on episode 7, you were high on emotion. You're like, holy cow, how's this gonna end? And episode 8 really brought you down. And they had a lot of the characters had a lot of quote unquote I might die conversations with other characters,
Mm.
like all reminiscing, like, preparing for this final battle. And so it was just like really, that was like a really emotional episode because they were just like obviously prepping for their potential deaths. But I thought it was a good, I don't know, filler. It mostly felt just like a filler episode. And then obviously at the very end with what happened to Papa. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, I would say that it was a good filler episode before the big finale.
Yeah, I would say it acts as a good bridge into
Yeah.
episode 9.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at it now and seeing that they wanted to break this up, or they did break this up into volumes, this does feel like a good like breath before the finale.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I will say there are those moments, like Levi said, of some heart. I think particularly with the titular character of Mr. the Papa.
Mr. the Pop.
Um, and with L, I think this gives a lot of credibility to her storyline that felt kind of iffy and probably
Mm.
one of my lesser enjoyed of the rest of season 4. It's like her and all the California crew.
Mhm.
And this brought, I think, a little bit more of her with the death of Papa and kind of like moving on from that,
Mhm.
and becoming stronger. And so I felt like that was needed for her to like really grow. And I think there was actual growth for her in this, which
Mhm.
felt really good.
Yeah. Yeah, that particular scene where he's like, "Just tell me that you like at least
Yes.
appreciate what I've done for you," and then she just like looks him stone cold in the face and is like,
Like,
"See
no.
ya, bro," and you're like, "Oh, dude,"
Peace out.
because she like does love him in some ways, in like a weird, twisted way. Like she still like has feelings for him.
He really is the, I mean, first thing she ever had that was close to
Yeah.
a father. And I mean, it is probably a weird, hard aspect to deal with, is this is my first father figure.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Technically, as she thinks at this moment, is my only father figure, because at this point she still
Oh yeah.
believes
There's
that
no-
Hopper is dead, and he
Right.
was more of a father to her than, I mean, anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we can see that she's clearly, um, I think she's like struggling and torn by it, but she's still pretty grounded in her decisions. That was one. I think one of my favorite parts that stuck out from episode 8 is, um when Papa traps her in the room with Nina. Is it Nina? Yeah, Nina's
Mhm.
yeah,
the
the big
box.
pod,
Yeah.
and she really just lays into him and lets him have it. It's like, no, like Mama died because of you.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mhm.
became like Henry became
Mm-hmm.
Vecna or one because of you, and I became this because like everything has started because of you imprisoning me, all these kids, and that, like, this is the outcome of your actions. And now she's, because season one, I mean, and go like just coming forward from like each season, I think she's gotten a little more talkative. Because season one, like,
Her
clearly
English is getting better. Yeah, like
she's
she
a
smoother.
Mm.
kid,
Yeah.
and every season
Mhm.
she's got more talkative and like has understood the world more. And now I think this is the season where she's kind of, I mean, standing up for herself a little more.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
maybe that was one of the reasons they added the bullies into volume one, is her getting knocked down and dealing with it improperly by attacking,
Mm-hmm.
what's her name, which, I mean, then she does go in, she tells Papa, if you try to stop me, I will kill you. And she almost does it. She almost, I mean, and I did actually enjoy that whole scene, because it was kind of her, I mean, she didn't really have a choice, because then he sticks her with a
Yeah.
syringe, but she
Yeah.
really did almost go full Vecna
Yeah.
Mhm.
on that scene.
Yeah. They are doing this interesting like I feel like they're kind of the yin and yang of like, hey, here's it's a very thin line between becoming Vecna. Like it's pretty easy just to like kind
Yeah,
of go down
it
that
kind
route.
of reminds me of uh like a Harry Potter and a Voldemort situation, where
Mm.
like they are connected, and
Yeah.
Mm.
she's afraid
Yeah.
if she goes down this road, maybe she'll become the
Interesting.
monster that
Yeah,
Vecna is. And
for sure. Griff, what about for you? How was episode 8?
I thought it was just all of them really getting prepared to
Mm-hmm.
go to battle, and then
Mhm.
shit just let loose in episode 9.
Yeah, that's true. That's a
Yeah.
perfect brief way to describe exactly what happened in both episodes. Uh,
shitting on episode 8 so much. It's not, I mean,
yeah,
see, episode
it's
9
definitely the
was,
lull before the like. I shouldn't say a
yeah,
lull, but like it's the man, the battle
yeah,
stations. It's about
Yeah.
to.
It
Mhm.
you're
has to
right.
be. I mean, like that's just like
If it was all action and then you had two and a
Yeah,
half hours of all action, we'd be
but
like, our eyes would be,
the
yeah.
look like Vecna's victims.
I'm sorry. I want Griffin to finish anything after you.
Just all of them preparing to essentially not know if they're making it out of doing whatever plan they're
Yeah.
Yeah.
proceeding to do.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever feel? I mean, I know technically we knew there was another season, but do you feel like there was anything different about the stakes of this season where you're like, maybe some of these don't come out alive? Like, did any of you feel the unpredictability of that? Because, like, I finally, for the first time, felt a little like, I don't know who's safe anymore.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
100%.
I
Yeah.
I agree, because we've been pretty safe. Like we've kind of had our hands held, I think, a little bit through the seasons, and this was ultimately. I think I did make a prediction on who. I mean, I think we all probably did.
Yeah, who did you guys think was gonna? Who do you think was gonna die?
I mean,
Steve.
I really was scared that Steve
Yeah.
was gonna die. Eddie was a big one
Yeah.
that
I knew
feel
he
like
was gonna.
Eddie was the
came to
Why did
fruition.
everyone know that Eddie was gonna die and not me?
I could have. That's the thing. I could have seen like, okay, this is where Steve goes. Now Eddie's gonna be the new Steve and pick it up and be what Steve
Yeah.
wanted to be and be what Eddie wanted to be,
Yeah.
which he was. He was the hero in the end.
Fair
Mhm.
enough.
Yeah.
We'll
I
get
think
into that.
this was definitely the first time where I felt like, oh, anyone could be on the chopping block, which was really good. But where I was ultimately like kind of wanting more was that it turned out that, well, no one's really on the chopping block. Like Eddie, a new character, like every other season, there's a new character that dies. And
Sure.
I do think they did something with Sam, which was they could do something interesting with Sam, but I wish they would have, as much as I love Sam, and she's probably my favorite character, like let that happen.
Who are you talking about?
Who's Sam?
Oh, Max, sorry.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
like, wait a
okay, got
second.
Oh,
I was like, oh shit, did I watch the right show?
But like I think with Max,
Got it.
like I do think they would have gone and hit a bit like hit something like a Steve.
yeah.
And made the stakes higher. And I agree. I love Max, but having and we can get into it more, but having 11 be like, oh, maybe you're not dead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that part out. Got
Yeah.
some speculations. Yeah, I think the one thing I found kind of cathartic was I do feel like the cat and mouse of Brenner and 11 had to finally come to a head at some point, because I think for us to keep doing it, I think this was kind of like the last repetition of that, where I was like, okay, let's kind of like be done with this, you know? But there's this really cool, just behind the scenes relationship with them where, like, as evil as he is, everything that she is now and how good she is at what she is, like, kind of has to be given credit to him.
Yeah.
The only problem with that is that he, like, took a nuclear bomb, Vecna, and was like, what if I made more nuclear bombs instead of figuring out how
Made a
to,
bunch
like,
of small ones.
aiming the other nuclear bomb at something more productive, like, and so his, like, practice is like, what if I just made the right nuclear bomb to fight the other nuclear bomb?
He kept making more nuclear bombs and more
Yeah.
nuclear bombs until he got the right one.
Yeah, and so he sits there and he's like, can't you appreciate that? I was just preparing you to kill the other nuclear bomb that is kind of my fault for, like, being the way that he is. It's like, it's still your fault. You can't be, like, the hero for causing the war.
He's
Like,
he's probably the most toxic father to
yeah.
ever exist.
Oh, for
Damn
sure.
that hair. Damn that hair.
Probably maybe more toxic than Darth Vader.
Ooh. Yeah. You bring up a good point, too, because Jake kind of brought to my attention that there's a lot of parallels to The Empire Strikes Back and
Mhm.
in these last two
episodes.
episodes. So
Yeah.
we'll have to jump into that a little bit, too, because
As
there's
well
quite a few.
as well as Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think,
mean,
yeah,
like,
for sure.
so many similarities.
Hmm.
I'm sure they took. I mean, you could probably find some inspiration from multiple 80s movies from today,
Hmm.
just
Mhm.
anything written or pop culture for this, because I mean, this was a loaded last two episodes.
Yeah. What, I guess, before we get right into the finale, I guess my last question would be, how do you guys feel about, I feel like I was telling Jake, I was like, out of all the seasons, I felt like they were all very rewatchable because of how small scale this show really is. Like, it kind of is pretty concise. And then this was the season where they're like, what about twice the length? And, like, do you guys feel like that was because they just didn't give us enough for the first 3 seasons, or do you think this was always the plan and they just needed us to kind of buy into this like mystery and then do like the big production to finally explain some things. Or I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I'm just curious.
I kind of get the gist of it.
Yeah.
Where I think, well, for me, like not enjoying 2 and 3 as much because it was just kind of like felt like it was circling. Um, for while maybe not the most for me rewatchable because I'm like getting like the answers, but I'm not
Mm.
like, oh, I got to rewatch it. I'm like, oh, this is finally where we need to be going.
Yeah.
And but it's hard to be like, anyways, gonna rewatch this like 30-hour season or whatever it is.
Hmm.
Like, but I would come back to it in preparation of a season 5.
Right.
So I couldn't in this weekend like some of you guys did like rewatch it. I didn't have like a huge desire to do that,
Hmm.
but it is to point of like this is where I think the show is really hitting its stride for me.
So, do you feel like this is your favorite season then?
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. Because before it was 1, and then do you feel like now it's for
I
sure
think
this one?
this one's the best.
Nice. Yeah. What does anyone else want to take a stab at that one? I just was curious.
Um, yeah, where do I start? I think this is definitely my favorite season as well. The rewatchability I think is difficult just because the like literally the length
Yeah, the
of it.
scale is so much
And I
better.
don't know, yeah, I don't know what their real plan was if they had always thought, let's do a 2 hour long episode, which is, I mean,
Hmm.
it's just a movie. It's
Yeah.
essentially a movie at that
Mm.
point that you kind of have to go and watch the rest of the show for. But um, yeah, I mean, I wanted to rewatch Volume 1 before um the Volume 2 came out, but I just didn't
Hmm.
get around to it. But
Hmm.
so I mean, I think even that, just the length of it takes a while if you like want to sit down and try and binge something like Michael was saying. Uh, I guess we all kind of had a little bit of extra time to rewatch some of it, but I mean, 2 hours like for just episode 9 and then episode 8 on top of it's almost 3.5, I'd say. But I mean, I could rewatch it again and again.
Nice.
It's like
Yeah.
Mm.
I think it's a really fun season.
Yeah.
Like as
Oh,
dark
for
as it
sure.
is, it's like it's probably one of the most fun to watch, and just like we've waited for the season for 5 years, and like we're really like we're actually like getting answers where seasons 1 through 3 were like this is just fun monster mystery fighting
Reference
Hmm.
fest. Yeah.
references, yeah,
Yeah.
and so now it's like, oh, we're just kind of getting it all right now.
That's fair. What about for
Yeah.
you, Griff? Is this different from the other 3 seasons, or do you feel like it's just like, nope, I love all of
Um,
them?
I think I don't think they planned for it to be as long as it was,
Yeah.
but I feel like they had a lot of fillers in the other season where they tried to give us more this season, so that didn't
Mhm.
happen as much.
Yeah.
Mm.
I felt like maybe maybe I was just like conflicted, but like normally I don't like when a show gives you a lot of content and then goes, ah, the thing you didn't know was that something actually happened before all the seasons, and this is going to explain everything. But I felt like this did such a good job of connecting. I wouldn't say it connected all the dots, but it connected so many of them that I almost was left thinking maybe it actually was planned like this. Like they were kind of just
Mhm.
like Netflix gave us this much money, so let's just keep it small. All right, we got some success, let's keep it this
Hmm.
way. And then in some ways I almost wonder if it just cemented the fact that they were going to always be able to finish it with whatever funds that they needed. So let's just kind of like do our job of making good characters so that way when we finally pop off, it'll be
Hmm.
Netflix isn't going to bat an eye. It's like, yeah, we're drowning as a company and we're not going to exist in 10 years because Disney's going to buy us. But you know
Yeah.
what? Let's do this. Um, Levi, what about for you? How do you feel about this season fitting into the grand calculus of the multiverse of Stranger Things?
I think that this has been the best season we've got since the first. The first will always still be my favorite, just because it's
You're a
new and it
purist.
was,
I respect
yeah.
it.
But I'm just a little nervous with where they're gonna go with season 5. Obviously, they didn't give too much away. There's still some questions left unanswered, and there's still things that I'm personally curious about. While the 8 and 9 did answer a lot for me, obviously I'm still curious, but I just hope that they don't kind of, because season 5 is the last season we get with these characters. Um, and I just hope that they do it justice. They don't just as they're not just like, oh, this is our last season. Season 4 was kind of our big kind of thing. Season 5 is whatever. We're just going to conclude, and it's going to be whatever.
Mm.
But with the momentum they have going from season 4 and season into season 5 is going to be really really good. I just hope that they do it really well,
Yeah,
and
and
not
really
kind
fast.
of yeah. It's like I don't want to. At the same time, it's like I want to wait
Nope,
to get something good, but I don't want to wait. I
exactly.
want to get it now, but I don't want to sacrifice quality for time. So
Mhm.
all
Nick, it
that to
sounds like
say,
you
4 is really good.
yeah. Sounds like you guys want it's very soon. Nick, how long would you wait to see this?
I would wait a lifetime, but I don't want
Really?
to.
Oh, okay. I'm like thinking I could do like 2-3 years if it needs
Yeah,
to
I mean, I
happen.
think that's reasonable. I think
Yeah.
I think 2024 is what Jake was kind of saying. Is like I think that's probably a fair. I don't think it's going to be 3 years, but I do know that all these kids are going to be 40
I
soon. So
think I think I mean we literally we have to wait, like there's
yeah,
just no, I mean it's not like we
yeah.
can
I think a year
make
before they
it,
film it and 2 years
but
before it
I
comes
feel
out.
like I keep referencing Harry Potter, but I mean this is like what they did with Deathly Hollows and or even like
Hmm.
Endgame and
Hmm.
Infinity War, like it was just, it was like a year's time, and
Hmm.
I guess those, they kind of did like back to back. So like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
don't have that on their side that we know of, I guess.
Mm.
But hopefully like maybe end of this year they're able to start filming or beginning of next year, and then we
Yeah.
get it maybe
Hmm.
later 23 or early 24. That's
Yeah.
my prediction at least, cuz I mean, I think had it not been for COVID, we probably would have had this.
Probably a year sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
that's really just that, and as long as we don't go into another pandemic,
Yeah. Come on, monkeypox, stay away.
monkeypox, watch out.
All right. Um. All right. Well, I'll stop gatekeeping you guys. We can jump into episode 9 now.
I
I
do
just
want
wanted
to
to.
say
Oh, okay.
real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I mean, he keeps pulling throughout, and I've said it before, but I do want to mention that Argyle does carry California team to victory.
Mm.
Well, like
Got to give a shout out
there's
to your boy.
yeah, like they added this just comic relief character, and he's
Yeah.
unknowingly pulling through. So he pulls through episode 8,
That's right.
finds those tire tracks. He's gonna pull through in that episode 9. And
Yeah. When it comes to Argyle, I'd say try before you deny. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
that's right.
That's right. He is the juicy
That's right. He's the
pineapple on a pizza. Some people aren't gonna like it, but some people are gonna like that tasty pie. Um. Okay. Without
Think
further
so.
ado, thank you. um. Without further ado, episode 9, the greatest achievement Netflix has ever created. Let us discuss.
I wonder how
Um.
Nick feels about this.
No, I'm not showing any cards. It's only the greatest content they've ever created. um. Okay. I don't know where to really begin with this
Mm.
because there's so much goodness. So I think we just need to tackle this via the teams and maybe just
Hmm.
tackle their arc in it all, and then it'll probably just slowly interweave into each other's. So going off of California Crew, do you want to chat a little bit, or we don't have to
Sure.
you specifically, but I think maybe California Crew is where we're
Yeah.
at with
I
the
think I'm trying to remember who we lead off with in the beginning. Is it California Crew?
California Crew gets to. Do they
get to the
make the tank?
Yeah.
Well,
And
so yeah, they get to that gas station.
yep,
L is figuring out, hey, we don't have to make it to Indiana or Hawkins
Hopkins.
tonight. Hawkins, Indiana. tonight we can do like
The piggyback.
which was this was actually, I mean, she's been doing the pool stuff, but this was like the one where like, okay, this is gonna help
Yeah.
the rest of the team.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And then like, yeah, we gotta find a tub, we gotta find some salt. And our
Argyle.
girl's like, hold on, dudes, I know where we can get about 600 pounds.
And
And
then he
good
talks to the
old
other guy who's also like basically
oh
Argyle. Oh, it's the
Basically,
best.
there you
yeah,
go.
the other pizza. What is the pizza place called?
Surfer Boy Pizza.
Surfer Boy Pizza. Yeah.
Well, and they hint it when they're driving past it. They're like, I didn't even know they opened in Nevada. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, nice. That's good to foreshadow.
Cool.
Yeah. They did a lot of that where they'll like tease something at the beginning and then you realize that it means
It's
something in
important.
the
I
end.
think they're very good about that. Yeah.
I'm always like, no Easter egg should be left unturned because it
Yeah.
probably means something. I feel like they're very intentional.
And I love the montage. So as soon as they seduce, not seduce, or persuade or blackmail,
with
not
the purple palm
blackmail,
tree delight.
the palm tree delight to
That's right.
Argyle 2.0. They get this montage going. They're taking everything out of the freezer. Everyone's like trying to like get stuff going. And Argyle's just making a pizza while everyone's getting his tub ready. He's doing what he does best.
Everyone's doing whatever they do best.
Yep.
That is correct. I do feel like this was, and I don't think I'm exaggerating, the most D&D episode of Stranger Things.
Mm.
And it doesn't even include D&D in it, but I feel like this is when everyone is like, you know what? It doesn't matter. We have to win, so everyone just lead with your strengths.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
And
glad that
every
this
team.
episode is the most D&D when literally D&D happened in the first episode of the season.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like,
They can't play D&D anymore because they
yeah,
have to literally
like,
be D&D.
yeah. There's literally a campaign fighting Vecna on a board
Yeah.
game, literally D&D, and this still feels like,
The most.
because I mean, and we'll get into the prison set, but I mean, literally Hopper fights with a sword. It's just like, okay, it's literally D&D. What's happening?
Literally.
Fighting a dark wizard.
I love it so much. Griff, what are your thoughts on the California crew? And you can be honest about Mike if you want to.
No, I'll keep that.
Okay.
I'll keep that under.
Not a big fan of Mike.
Why is it schoolboy?
Stop.
He just cried the first 4 episodes.
Easy. So did Will.
Continue.
I don't know.
It's okay. If it's not coming to you, it's all good. I just want to make sure I'm giving you a chance.
Yeah, Jake covered probably what I was.
And there's more to go into. I think it's like because they do so many switch backs between all the teams. So
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
everything, I guess, does happen at once. So we can
That's true.
also come back if we want to.
Yeah. Did you guys have Levi or Michael? Did you have anything on California Squad that you particularly liked?
Mm. I liked how Elle kind of was the one that came up with the whole piggybacking thing, because I think in the past she's been more or less the follower instead, because like she's got the powers, but she's like, oh, I know that I can do this, while everybody else is like, maybe she can do this, and then they try it, oh, so it happens. But now she's like, this is what's going on. She kind of like became the person that came up with the plan, and then everybody worked around to help her. So I thought that was pretty cool. Argyle though is just
All
top
time.
notch, A tier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All time.
Yeah. Elle gained a lot of confidence this season, which was really great.
Yeah.
I think California Crew, it was great for everyone that was Elle and Argyle. Everybody else didn't do anything.
Bummer. Yeah.
So, like, I mean, I'm not the biggest Jonathan fan, but then Will gets sidelined again. But he has a nice moment with Mike. I
Mhm.
think it was actually last episode. And he was like, "Anyways, I kind of love you, but also
Yeah.
don't
I'm
tell
gonna
anybody." And
I'm gonna
Mike's like,
pretend it to be
"Okay.
like, yeah. He says it's
Anyways,
like
I didn't
L,
notice
but
this.
it's definitely
Yeah,
him talking
definitely
through.
Elle loves
Yeah.
you."
Yep.
But and then Mike actually does something this entire season. I think Griff may be speaking on this, but he actually does something and encourages Elle because he's the heart of this group.
That's right.
And helps her in the end. But I do like the kind of tying in and going back into like the bathtub and the salt and kind of tying that from like season one to ultimately be like, oh, we actually don't have to be there, and showing like Elle's strength. So
Mhm.
that I thought that was really cool. It's like, oh, how are they going to connect? They're in Nevada, and it's like, oh no, actually, here we
Hmm.
are. So I thought
Yeah.
that was really an interesting way to connect them.
Yeah. I
Kind of
would.
was Inception.
Yeah. A memory within a memory, my dude. um. Yeah. I think I would agree that this was probably Mike's like weakest season. Um. And I don't know. Like, I don't know if I want there to be sidelining in a show or if I want everyone to like. I do feel like the Duffer Brothers are at least nice enough to make sure that everyone gets screen time instead of just not giving them any at all.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
but I think that sometimes makes us feel like, oh, well, then they're just like worthless this
Yeah.
season. Like Jonathan's been able to do some really cool stuff in the past, even though he's no one's favorite character.
Yeah.
Then he just happened to not do anything during everyone's like probably favorite season. So it's like it's hard for there to be like memorable, he's my favorite when he did just kind of, I don't know, ironically, like they had the chillest, comedy part of the show, but without them, they couldn't have even achieved close to what they were doing. And,
They kind of had. There's no low stakes in this, but I think they had kind of the lowest because Elle was ultimately pretty safe. I mean, she was with Brenner the whole time, but she was like, I mean,
it's not like
she
those four dudes were like really going to protect her from
no, yeah.
anything.
So like,
yeah.
Right.
and that was another thing I want to say about Brenner is like, as terrible as he was, like, whenever they have to run from the government or the other government,
Yeah.
because
Multiple
because
governments. Yeah.
don't know who's who, uh, and he's like carrying her out of there, even though he knocked her unconscious. I was like, honestly, I feel pretty safe, like with
Yeah.
him, with him because I mean, he's not trying to hurt her. He deeply cares about her. But
Hmm.
let me get back to, yeah, like I think maybe Mike having a weaker season just means that they decided to take a little more action and care with our other
Yeah.
Mhm.
uh characters and the new characters and fleshing them out. So, 'cause I think we like you can grow a character for the most part like Mike, but I think we kind of know who he is.
Sure.
He's awkward, he's
Hmm.
nerdy, he doesn't know what to say, and that was his whole issue with Elle from the beginning. So,
Yeah.
and then Will being there going through his
Hmm. And it's easy to get upset about Will being sidelined because I think he inadvertently sometimes feels like he's
yeah.
sidelined throughout the series, even though he almost is the main character for like
Yeah.
the first two
And I know we
seasons.
keep saying like, oh, like Will's gonna come back and have like this huge impact. I think at the end of this episode, the way Will talks about everything ending and how it's not over, which we'll get
Mhm.
to, I think that for me it was like I think Will's gonna have a huge impact on season 5.
Yeah, I think he has to. Yeah.
Whether
Mhm.
he's whatever he's doing, whether he
Yeah, I
lives or
think I
dies
think
or
what we're wanting is redemption. I think he's just been like slowly like,
yeah,
okay, you go missing and you kind of get shit on in the first season, but we also didn't get to see a lot of his time in the Upside
yeah.
Down. So maybe we get a de-aged Will in season 5 and
Redemption.
get to see that time
Redemption.
and he gets to kind of put the pieces together because his whole journey has been like, I need to forget that. So
Mhm.
maybe it's like, no, actually you need to remember because you were behind enemy lines and we need help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see where this all goes. Um, how about the prison break leading to a prison
Prison
break in?
Ian break.
Oh,
I love
what'd you
it.
guys think? Yeah, nice.
It
That's
felt
good.
good. It was really cool. Yeah. This is why we have a podcast.
This way.
I liked it. Nice. Moving on.
Yeah.
Moving on.
It did feel the most like we did it. We got out. Now time to go back in. And
Oh,
I understand why like they needed them to do something basically.
sure.
Um
Yeah.
and in some way did it affect uh the fight? Yeah. Um but it felt the most like, oh, they got out. Wait, they need to do something for an episode. Go back in and fight the other monsters in there, which was cool. And there's a flamethrower, so I can't complain.
Yeah, I think I was wondering how everyone was gonna get back, and then when I realized, oh wait, they just can't. Like, and if they did, it would feel super hokey if it was like Steve and Nancy and Robin all enter the Upside Down, and then somehow Hopper just shows up in the Upside Down with a flamethrower, and we're just like, excuse me.
How are you gonna get
How
back?
the hell did you get here so fast?
Yeah.
We all would have been like, what the hell? But yeah, I understand too where you're coming from. Like, Michael, it's like, just leave. Like, you literally have no reason to go back there. But it would be super cool if you did, and it would lead to some pretty badass scenes where Hopper gets to literally do kind of like, and R.I.P. Bob, he gets to do like Bob 2.0, but win.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
this is awesome. Like all the monitors with all the dogs, and then he's like, look, I'm gonna do this with a gun, and I'm gonna drop my gun, and I'm gonna grab a sword, and I'm gonna fight melee style with a
Right.
Demogorgon.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was dope.
So 10 out of 10.
That was a 10 out of 10 fight.
Literally, when he picked up that sword, all I could think was, I
where
have
did the
the
sword come
power.
That's what me and my roommate thought as soon as we
You did
saw
you-
that. We were just like,
It was like a beautiful sword. I was like, did this just spawn?
I'm like,
It was
"Is
like,
He-Man?"
is his inventory just ding? It goes ding. You have found sword of power on the ground, plus 30 strength, and it's like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, where did
Literally.
that
I loved
sword
it.
come from? Does anyone know?
I assumed it
Um,
was one of the gulag
I
weapons
think it had
Yeah.
to have been.
that
It's a
they
pretty
just all could have
sword.
had. It was a very nice sword.
Oh, I see. Yeah, when they were just like when everyone was
Hey, you're not gonna kill anybody with it anyway. But he ran past it, and I was like, that's a pretty nice, big ass, great sword
Yeah.
on the ground.
Yeah. Blood isn't stained steel.
He just freaking uses it like a champ, too.
Oh
It
yeah.
does.
Just
Probably just got out there
wrecks.
from all the guards too, running
Mm.
around trying to find stuff.
That's true. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I did figure they would go back to the prison because they showed all the Demogorgons and
Yeah,
the
Mind Flayer,
the duck.
Shadow Monster. Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, they're gonna have to go back and kill them or kill all that or do something because they wouldn't just show that and be like, well, let's get back to America.
Yeah, I feel like in some
luck,
ways
Russia.
this was
Yeah.
this was in some ways putting the stamp of Russia no longer has to be a part of the story anymore.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we did it. We wrecked it.
We
They
killed
don't have
Russia.
anything.
That's a good
You know.
point. Yeah.
Mhm.
If you leave taxidermied Demogorgons alive, they're gonna become untaxidermied and
Yeah.
start eating
Freaking
people.
Some
Num num num.
I feel like this did finally clarify the Demodog Demogorgon debate. It seems like Demodogs just eventually become Demogorgons. Their tails slowly shrink and then
Oh,
they disappear into
that
their
what we-
bodies.
is that-
Yes.
Was that confirmed by that? Or?
Well, they were doing an autopsy on the one, and they had a tail still, but it was kind of moving around as though it was kind of humanoid or getting there.
That's true.
And
I
then
could've
all of
tell.
the ones stuck in the Bacta tanks or whatever you want to call them. I mean, literally Star Wars. But some of them had tails, some of them didn't. Some of them were like larger, some of them were like kind of still more like
makes
looking
sense.
like they
I
were
guess that-
using all fours. Yeah. I also have a prediction that Demogorgons are not hostile until Vecna made them hostile. Like, I think something about the world that they're from. Like, they're obviously the original species of whatever world he went into.
Right.
But they don't seem to be crazy, like mad. And I wonder if his infection in them is like made
I
them.
feel like they're like they're like a bear. Bears will attack you, but if you're just like you're just walking by and make yourself
Yeah.
big, they'll run away. But
Oh, that could be too. Yeah.
but if Vecna's putting his magic spin on them,
Yeah. His.
I
Make it
don't know.
more
I feel like
hostile.
if you have a flower face that has a bunch of teeth in it, you're kind of made to be
Well,
an
true.
aggressive.
My question is though, do they naturally have that though?
Well, when there's a flashback when he's talking to Al, you see a demo dog.
Yeah, just like crawling on the rocks or
It's
whatever.
just kind of like, yeah. I just didn't know if if they were that violent to begin with, or if he kind of like corrupts them and changes them into the monster that they are.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there is still a lot to unpack with the Upside Down,
Yeah,
that we didn't get. Where it's like how did Elle put him in there? How did it become a mirror of Hawkins? Like, there's a lot of stuff going on there still.
correct.
Yeah. Why is
Which
it stuck on 1983?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, no, I'm with you guys on that regard. I thought my prediction with that universe was that maybe it wasn't evil to begin with, but he like dominated it, and
Mhm.
like they kept repeating that he doesn't just kill people, he consumes them. And so like I was trying to figure out what made him turn from human to like wrinkly human to ground beef, and was trying to figure out like when that progress took
To
place.
squelching.
To squelching wetly around
Oh,
all over the
God.
place.
Just the Squidward.
Yeah. You just hear Max squelching wetly. It's like, please, just subtitles. I get it. Like, he's a wet boy. Got it. But anyway, is he consuming, these demogorgons, and that's why he has like the claw or whatever? Maybe he like is becoming part of
he
that
does,
world,
'cause we have a Demogorgon body with a flower head.
And then maybe Voldemort's in there, and that's why he loses his nose.
Yeah,
Maybe he
that makes
consumes
sense.
Voldemort.
Villains just can't have noses.
Damn straight.
Just
It
can't-
bled too much. It bled too much that it just popped off.
Oh, maybe it is something like that.
He just ripped it off.
He's like, you know what? I can't bleed if I don't have a
bleed if I
nose.
Don't have any blood.
Okay. Well, what did you guys think of the upside down reveal, like of this world that wasn't like red and lightningy all of the time? Like it was kind of this weird
Yellow.
universe.
I thought it was cool. It still left like some mystery as far as like, okay, he went here, and this is, I mean, and then we like assume, okay, he had some sort of influence on this place, whatever it was called
Mhm.
beforehand. But now it's like season 5. It's like, okay, now we need to know how he turned it into Hawkins. Why is it
Sure.
stuck on a certain time? There's obviously a lot of questions, but I thought it was cool to get like a little sneak peek of what's to come as far as the origin of the Upside Down.
Yeah, for sure.
I
I think it
wonder.
was. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just wondering. Like, I'm also curious on how, it would have turned into Hawkins if he just, with his like newfound powers, like he gained there, if he was just. Because I mean, there's like literal buildings and houses when like the kids are
Yeah.
going through there, and it's
Mhm.
like just.
I think I don't know if Griff, do you have any predictions on the upside down world? You got
No.
any thoughts?
Michael,
Okay.
what were you gonna say?
Oh yeah, sorry.
I think it was Michael.
Yeah, Michael, you were
Oh, what?
on.
I'm basically, yeah, it left enough to keep going, but I thought it was still good to be like, hey, here's something, and here's something you can like still. It actually gave us answers, and that's what I've been
Yeah.
wanting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it's not. I don't love the cliche of like I was the villain the entire time, Mr. Bond, and I have been manipulating it all behind the scenes. Also, my name is Palpatine. But this felt like a way better version of that.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it was what this show was missing, which was an overall villain of the Upside Down, instead of like here's just a Demogorgon and a big smoke thing. It's like, okay, here's something that is
Mhm.
actually a personal tie to our characters.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think I loved the reveal of him creating the mind flare and controlling it. And that it has been him all along, because like I agree with, it's nice that there's just, okay, here's our central villain,
Mhm.
I guess, that we know of. I mean, who knows what season 5 brings, if there's more monsters. But it does make a little more sense than it just being, here's this just giant creepy spider monster that just wants to get in and just start tearing
Yeah.
the world up. It makes more sense that
Mhm.
Vecna has this vendetta. He's out for revenge. Even before then, he was there. He's like, the world is so bad, everyone just gets up and eats
Mhm.
and produces
Mhm.
and dies. So he from the beginning he wanted to change everything, and
Yeah.
now he can.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, I enjoyed that reveal. I liked that it wasn't just this wasteland, but rather it was at least something.
Yeah.
Like it didn't seem like it was like a
He
planet that
created
just
it or
kept.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, like it wasn't a weird portal into just this like garbage like planet that catches everything. It
Yeah.
like clearly was something,
Mhm.
and he was like, okay, well maybe I can make it in my image now.
Was when he gets struck by lightning, like in the volume one, like we see him go in. Is it yellow?
It like eventually, but underneath the clouds, it's like a clear place. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of
So
like
that's another thing too, because like now they go the upside down, it's just red all the time.
right.
So that
My
that
prediction with the upside down being Hawkins is that it has nothing to do with Vecna. It has everything to do with 11.
yeah,
Like I think when she opened it up, something happened there
yeah.
because it was her gate opening that
So
is
when
where
he
the
opens
time.
it again, season one, that just kind of
Yeah,
I think
that's when it.
kickstarts.
Yeah, because
Right.
when she opened to like send him, she didn't really like open it. She just kind of created a
She was
opening
just
to
like
like
get
go
the fuck
away,
out.
but it was not like a permanent gate.
Yeah,
And then it does at least help kind of clean up of his whole like I still needed someone to open the gate. I still couldn't do that.
Mhm.
Like and so the whole time he has to live with his failure of this little 8-year-old knew what to do before I did,
Yeah.
and now I need to
Mhm.
figure that out. In the meantime, I'm going to get all juiced up and start figuring out some
Get-
stuff
get
and
the
create my
Super
Spider
Saiyan
Boy
hat
and
on.
nose piercing. How we go wrong? Yeah. No, so I enjoyed that. I think we need to chat about the Hawkins crew now. Let's
Oh,
do
yes.
it.
Our bread and butter.
Yes, Mr. Steve the Red Harrington,
Hmm.
Mhm.
and his
Miss Nancy.
his RV full of kids.
Nancy.
But not in a weird way.
Shotgun Nancy.
Not
Shotgun Nancy.
Shotgun Betty.
Yeah.
Shotgun Nancy.
That's right. Steve Harrington went from being a butthole to a babysitter to
Dad.
a dad.
Dad.
My man.
And
Um,
hopefully
Mhm.
far away from being dead.
yeah, hopefully he's not going to turn into a demo bat soon, but we'll be fine.
Be kind of cool though.
Apparently, you're okay. Even getting attacked by maybe they're like really clean, even though they look
Yeah, he was
gross.
pretty okay. I guess
Ship shape.
I kind of forgot about that.
He's a Red
He was pretty
Harrington.
okay.
Red Harrington. That's all he was.
I mean, Eddie had
Red
a kid.
Harrington, you're insane.
Thank you.
Get out of here.
What?
Yeah, he's
Wow.
just saying Eddie really just ate it though.
Oh yeah.
Boy.
Yeah, you know what? Let's take a moment for our boy Eddie.
Hmm.
Yeah.
If anyone has any sort of alcoholic beverage, I want you to pour it directly on the ground.
For the rest of
Um,
your life. 'Cause
for the
rip
yep,
Eddie.
just always buy 2 beers, leave 1 for Eddie.
Mhm.
My man.
Rest in peace.
I should have known better. Because the way it was written was that this guy was never going to make it anyway because the city's still going to think
complicated.
he's a
Yeah.
satanic cult leader,
Yeah.
and there's no way he was going to make it out. But for some reason,
It was basically if Centerville, Iowa was like looking for like on a witch hunt.
yeah, it was just like a
Yeah.
small town that was just like we're going after it, and he would have never gotten out of it. So that was a bummer, but I get it from a writing standpoint. However,
Mhm.
redemption. They've been building him to be like, I'm a really good at being a hero in D&D, but I've never really been one in real life. And he's kind
Mhm.
of, he had that speech at the beginning of the season where, 86 is going to be my year. I'm going to finally graduate. And then didn't he actually say when he was dying he actually wasn't going to graduate?
Yeah.
My
something
poor
like
guy.
that.
It's
He
just
said
like,
something like that.
it's like, I think he just felt doomed no matter what.
But he
And
didn't
so I
run
think,
away.
but he didn't run away. Like, I think
No.
it all led to a good conclusion. I think some people think it was pointless, but
Yeah.
when you actually think about it, it did actually make sense because there's 2 scenarios that could have happened if he would have gone into the portal. One is so do 1,000 Demobats.
Yeah.
Not good. Not a good look
Right,
for
yeah.
Hawkins. Granted, it doesn't matter in the end because Hawkins is screwed.
Yeah.
But
but just imagine what happened. But also, there's 1,000 bats.
also 1,000 bats. Yeah.
That's 1 million
Yeah.
Demobats.
1 million Demobats. And then the other scenario is they leave them alone and they just go back to Vecna and Nancy and Robin
Right.
and Steve
Yeah.
are screwed. So for anyone who ever is just like, oh, what a pointless death, I was like, no, it's about as beast as he could have done. And he actually like fought him off for a little bit with that
With the
little
shield.
stupid shield.
Oh, it was dope. It was not.
yeah.
It was impossible, but it was super dope.
Yeah.
We think also need to
Yeah.
Puppet or
Master of
yeah,
Puppets.
Master
Oh, yeah.
Master of
Superstar.
Puppets. That solo
Yeah.
was nuts.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It
The
was
most rock
every
ever.
person who's ever played Rock Band or Guitar Hero
Yeah.
was losing their
Oh,
minds.
yeah.
To quote Justin, it was the most metal.
It was
Most metal
so-
ever. Let's go.
You think you're metal, but you're not. Eddie
You're not
Eddie playing some metal in the Upside Down while some Demobats are coming to get him.
With like red lightning and I mean
Yeah, the
that
It was
is about
just-
as metal as
yeah.
it gets, dude. That is
shredding,
like
shredding
so
your
cool.
guitar.
It
I
was so
mean,
dope.
he absolutely murdered.
Mhm.
Just slaughtered it. Just killed it.
Just crushed it.
Eddie got on top of that RV and just fucking sloshed.
Shredded.
There it is. No, I definitely need to get my memorabilia. I need to get a Funko Pop of Eddie forever because there's only going to be one in existence, and I need it.
Did everyone like we kind of like talked about it a little bit in the beginning, but did everyone think it was gonna be Eddie from the get go, or was there
I did.
you did?
No way.
No.
Wait, from like what?
Like did you all like beginning of the season knowing like someone's probably gonna die this
no,
season?
not Eddie,
No.
because no.
I
But
thought Eddie and
about-
Steve.
I thought maybe Eddie
You thought
and
they were going to do
Steve.
it to them both?
I thought there was potential. The way they made Steve and Nancy's
Yeah.
like relationship kind of like maybe not, because I was like, well, and I mean, in the end she just she's already with Jonathan, but
It
at the
could-
end she's
yeah.
like, oh Jonathan, you're back. But I thought maybe like, oh, in order for her to just not have to pick, there's
It would have been interesting
dead.
if, like, yeah, Steve,
and he sacrificed.
like, maybe they, like, kissed or something, and then he died, and then
Yeah.
Jonathan comes back, and he's like, hey, it's so good to see you, and she has a choice to make.
Yeah,
Like,
she's like, I
Yeah.
love
you're
you.
actually
And
my
Steve's
plan
like,
B,
I
but
know.
the other one dies.
I think he's gonna have to die in the next season, though.
I knew Eddie was gonna die. I think in episode 8 when him and Dustin are like play fighting, and he just grabs him. He's like, "Never change, Henderson.
Never
Never change." I'm like,
Haha, we're friends, aren't we?
"Fuck."
Aren't I a role model to you? And it would have we have such a good friendship.
I know, but I hate that, like, all those happy memories are always, like, foreshadowing something
Yeah.
awful's about to happen.
Because
It's just
like Eddie should be like having the worst time of his life, and he's just like, "We're doing this. I'm so
Yeah.
happy to be with these people that
and
are
this whole city
like looking out
has
for
like
me."
100 more lives that survived because
Yeah.
of Eddie, at least.
Yeah,
You know,
he's-
like it's just, he's the guy that you'll never be able to give credit to. But at
Mhm.
least there's that touching moment with his uncle where he
Oh,
gets to at least know
Yeah, that was really nice.
somewhat of the truth,
that hurt.
Yeah.
enough of the truth for it to count.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
I thought that was really good.
The actor who played, I can't remember his name, but the actor who played his uncle.
He had a big stint in Agents of Shield, but I
Yeah,
forget who he
that's what I-
was. Yeah, I forget what his acting
like-
name is. We'll have to look him up. But Uncle Munson, what a guy.
Uncle Mun.
Yeah. Anyway, I just needed to.
Get that
There's
off your chest.
there's a shirt that Netflix is selling, and it's
Hellfire
it's
Club one.
it's that one, but there's another one with Eddie Munson where he's just holding his guitar with like red lightning in the background, but he's like shredded like He-Man with his
Oh.
his jean jacket on. I'm like, I think I have to have it. Like,
I need that shirt.
It's super unrealistic to what Eddie actually looks like, but it's like He-Man just chiseled like 8-pack
Yeah.
with his guitar in hand. I'm like, I'm kind of thinking I need
Yeah,
it. Or if they ever do the Funko Pop, like they do the scenes sometimes, where it's like an actual,
Yeah.
like I have like Cap versus Thanos and stuff like that.
Mhm.
If they just had one of him on the RV with like red lightning in the
I
background
feel
and
like
his
that's gonna
guitar,
happen.
I would buy it immediately. If it was more than 200, I wouldn't. But if it was
Anything
under
less.
$200, I would buy it.
$199.
Yeah.
The Eddie Funko Pop is currently sold out and on every other site for $130.
I'm gonna have to
Jeez.
second market that. All right.
Wait for the one of him on. Is there one of him on that
No,
RV or
just-
just in
just
regular
Eddie?
him.
Oh, okay.
Just Eddie.
He has his
Oh,
guitar actually.
okay.
Flipping up.
Yeah, so I
Happening.
was there was a custom of Not Us United, which has happened once, of getting some kind of little gift to the other person of some kind of something that we do at the last episode. So last year was Spider-Man, so Nick and I got Spider-Man Funko Pops. So I was gonna get Eddie Munson Funko Pops,
Well,
but they're like $100 right now. So
Yeah.
Are you being serious?
yes, I was literally gonna
Oh
get
my god.
all of you were
dude.
gonna get Funko Pops, but
oh,
they are $100. So sorry,
Rip.
guys.
so if it had
Rip.
just been like you and Nick, then maybe.
Not
Yeah.
even. Nope. Bummer. Anyway.
That's-
Pain.
We appreciate you,
Yeah.
Eddie Munson, and you're the man.
If I die in a blaze of glory like Eddie Munson, that's all I ask for.
Those Eddie Munson
Yeah.
Funko Pops deserve to be $1,000.
Yeah.
Mm. Michael, did you cry?
No, but I was holding the rock on sign while he was doing it. So I think that's the same thing.
I saluted with the the rock you or the rock
Yeah.
song. Let's go. That's awesome.
Did you cry?
What?
Anyways, moving on.
It's fine, dude. Don't even talk. No, I did not, but it was sad. We were watching it at like 11 o'clock at night, so I was like partially like really tired. So I was like, I gotta get through this. And then he died, and then Dustin broke his leg, and I was like, oh god, they're both gonna die. Everyone told me Dustin can't die, and I was like, one of them is gonna have to die in the next season, I think.
Yeah,
But-
wait, did Dustin break his leg just falling through the portal?
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
because he
Yeah.
couldn't safely get
That's-
it. Yeah,
yeah.
but he did it
Makes
anyway.
sense.
Yep. But no, I thought that was a good sacrifice that wasn't like unnecessary.
Yeah.
I know they were it was like the writing on the wall, but I think there was just this hope that I had that it wouldn't happen. And I think the Steve Harrington of it all was kind of like, maybe it's Steve and it won't be Eddie.
Mhm.
And so I think they
Yeah.
did a good job of like keeping the mystery alive.
Yeah.
One thing I will say too, before we jump into this crew, is as much as I hate half a season and then a half a season, like splitting it up, it felt a little greedy in my opinion. I do think it made for some very special conversations and some of the highs hitting a lot higher. Like if it was the
Mhm.
Vecna episode where he gets revealed
Mhm.
and then we just move right into Papa,
Yeah.
I feel like we'd be like, wow, can you believe Vecna's Henry? Anyway, can you believe that this is happening now
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
the setup for
Yeah.
season 5? So in some ways, they can say whatever reason they want. It wasn't edited, whatever.
Mhm.
I think in some ways this did need to be 2 volumes. I think that
It
was smart.
felt like the days when, I mean, there's still shows you can watch week by week, just like on cable and stuff.
Yeah.
But like in the days of like the heyday of Arrow, when it would go on like half a season break,
Mhm.
and like the mid-season finale is just him getting dabbed and like kicked off a cliff.
Yeah.
It's like,
Whoa.
shit,
Now I have to
we're
wait
dead.
like
That
8
it brought
weeks.
like that back. It's like, damn, now we have to wait like a whole month or 2
Yeah.
months before we find out what
Yeah.
happens
Like-
next. So
Yeah.
it sucked, but
I thought it was great because I like the week to week.
Mhm.
Like something like when Kenobi or like any of the Marvel shows are like coming out, it's like week to week,
Mhm.
and you can like talk about it and like
Yeah.
kind of think about it instead of like binging it and like just forgetting about it. This
Yeah.
felt like, I think Nick, you brought the best point of like, hey, Vecna is one. It's like now we had to sit with that for like a month, and that really made
Mhm.
it sink in. And it's like, well, then this could happen and this could happen. It's like
Mhm.
it feels like everything would have been glossed over if it was just
Yeah.
like, yeah, Vecna's one, cool, next thing.
Yeah. There's like, I wish there was some sort of middle ground because I do think this was pretty close to what I liked. I do think I'm not 100% for weekly release quite yet. just because there are some shows that are so slow that like I do need those like, hey, take the weekend and like watch these 3 to get into it. Like Amazon's method might actually be one of the better ones where they usually give you like the first 3 episodes and then it's weekly release from that point on, where they kind of let you get through the muck of like foundation building and then at least something substantial happens by the time you start it.
Yeah.
So somewhere in that middle ground is where I like to see content. I know it's weird where we like literally Netflix was like, what if we just give you it all right now? And we're like, that sounds awesome. And then within like 10 years, we're already like, maybe slow down a little bit. Like, give us a chance to talk about it. So I know we're kind of back and forth on it, but I do think this did have a heightened level of emotion and things that like stuck longer because they gave us a chance to breathe. So,
Yeah.
how about the Hawkins crew? What did you guys think of Creel House? Both ways,
House
like,
Invasion.
yeah,
Wait,
because there was Creel House in real life, and then there was the Creel House in the Upside Down. There were 2 teams, but they were all
Yeah.
That was the meat of it for me. That was the like where it really shined. Those two.
yeah. What
Mhm.
was the
Well, I
Which-
guess. Well, I guess yeah. I love. I mean, I'm loving Max right now, even though I called her by the wrong name in the
yeah?
beginning.
Sam's
of this
good.
episode.
Sam's
Yeah,
good.
Sam's my favorite.
Samwise.
But I loved. Maybe that's where it came from. But Max and Lucas and that set with like the basketball bully coming in and like messing things up, I thought was really like tense and gave Lucas a lot to do. And yeah, and then the 3 of them, Steve, Nancy, and Robin, just popping off. It was great.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
I
crew
think-
was definitely the highlight of, like, out of all the crews, that was like the most I wouldn't say cared for, but it was the Duffer Brothers gave their attention most to that crew. Um and for the obvious reasons. I mean, they have the easiest access to Vecna. Um but I mean, it was the biggest crew, I think. But yeah, I think it was really cool. And I'm gonna say this, and I want to know what you guys think. And I'm not saying anything bad. I love Max's character. I love what they've done with her
Careful now.
and how they've
Careful.
taken her character in this season. But I think
Okay.
it would have been better if they would have just let Vecna kill her. I think
Oh,
it would
yeah.
have been better for Lucas and the crew and how they would have taken that, and especially for 11 as well. Maybe she's resenting not trying to get to Hawkins to be with her or not being strong enough. Maybe she should have stayed with Papa to get stronger. Like, I think it would have been better for her to die and see the repercussions of that in season 5. Now I'm not upset with what they've done and how she's in kind of like a comatose state. There's definitely a lot of avenues they can go, but personally, I wish they would have just kind of killed her and then see what would happen with the crew based on that.
Griff, you were gonna
Thoughts?
say something. I wanted. I have some thoughts for you, Levi. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
But I saw Griff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
I
sorry.
know.
Go ahead, Griff.
You're good.
No, I lost it.
Okay. I guess first of all, how dare you? But not. Going off of that, I kind of also at first was like, oh, Elle can just save people now, and I think at first I was kind of like, oh no, I don't like this.
Mm-hmm.
But the other part of me was wondering, like, Vecna consumes everything
Mhm.
that they are, right? Like he takes their thoughts, their memories, and everything that makes them who they are. And there was like some cool moment there where, and granted, she was only in like dead for like a minute tops when Elle kind of, so like the believability for me was not as diminished as like her trying to resurrect like a dead body or something like that.
Yeah.
But something like she pumped into her like all of the memories that she had, and I almost wonder if Elle is starting to realize that her powers are not just offensive But if she could actually be the opposite of Vecna, where she could almost like be that angel of light that they kind of hinted at of when you're in Vecna's world, there is like a line that can get you out of it. And I wonder if she is the opposite of him, like if she's truly able to, what if she's able to put memories back into you and like give you hope and like heal you that way. And granted, there's a really sad scene though where she like grabs her hand in the hospital and she's in her mind and it's just blackness.
Yeah.
Like I mean, there might not be anything left. Jake, you were kind of talking about how there's a lot of parallels to Star Wars, but I think this very much is like our Han Solo character of literally being frozen in
It
carbonite,
is,
you know,
yeah.
of like taken out of the game, but maybe not taken
Yeah,
out
and
forever.
I think because, and we can get into the Star Wars stuff too, but like, yeah, like our Han, so like she's in her carbonite. We don't know what's gonna happen to her, if she's even gonna come back, and then ultimately they do lose.
Yeah.
Like this is their Empire Strikes Back. Like
Yeah.
Vecna ultimately won, and the Upside Down is now taking over.
Yeah.
But
She could also be like some sort of spy now. Like maybe
yeah,
when he like is in the process of killing her, there's a weakness that actually he kind of she has to be in his mind, and maybe she's permanently in his mind because he says like they're all still with me up here. So like I know it sounds crazy, but like what if there's the like a side quest of memory team where it's like her, Patrick, Fred, and Chrissy are all just like in his mind, and since she's still kind of alive, they can
Yeah.
like help her escape.
with her
kind
being
of a
able
thing.
to go into other people's memories and like bring them back, because that's ultimately kind of how is that pretty, because like they went into like Billy's mind in season 3,
Right.
but did Billy, I forget, did Billy just kind of like remember and then like take over for himself?
Well, that's what helped him snap out of
Yeah,
the
that's
being
what
the
I thought. So
flayed.
maybe like I mean, there's that happens, but
Yeah.
maybe
Which is
the
another
same can happen. Max.
That's another thing that I liked about what the Duffer Brothers did is like that little scene in season 3 where it kind of felt out of nowhere. It's like, wait, you can go into people's dreams now. It would like set up something of maybe she can actually like be the opposite Vecna because he's going into their dreams and like hunting them. What if she goes into their dreams and like saves them? And so giving Max the clean slate of maybe there will be some sort of like inner mind battle again could be cool.
Yeah.
But I'm with you guys. Like I think there wasn't enough deaths probably. There probably could have been one more that like meant something.
Yeah.
Or you know, what about like Mike's dad? Maybe it's just time to like take him out.
I literally well, remember the beginning of not season, Jesus, the beginning of episode 8 when Nancy's like, I saw all these things. I saw my mom, my sister, Mike,
Mike.
all dead.
Dead.
And like
Everyone that I care
Mr.
about.
Wheeler.
Mr. Wheeler's just like sleeping on the
Mr.
couch still.
Wheeler's only lines though this season are, what is going on with this town? Are you kidding me? Like
Kate kills her. She's like most worthless character ever. It's like exactly.
But
Just take him out, dude.
Or
Like
maybe we
Vecna.
should
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah, threaten some jail time. Maybe that'll get him. So it's like these are your kids' friends. You.
But him and Dustin go at it.
Yeah, it's insane. Take us for all we're
My
worth.
thoughts on Max. I think I agree with everyone. I think she could have died, and that would have. But here's my thing. I mean, I'm glad she's alive. I think they could have gone the direction, and it would have meant a lot more. But my only thing is, does that mean they're gonna go full Avengers Endgame, and it's like we have this way to time travel, so we're gonna just go back next season. We're gonna go back in time and save everyone, which would be cool. But we've seen that
Kind
in
of
Avengers,
resets everything.
so
Yeah.
I think there could have been, and they could have gone in a million different directions. That's just the way I was seeing it. Like, okay, Max is dead. Maybe everyone else is gonna die, because there was that second one. I mean, Mac, like, sure, her bones were snapping. I thought Hopper was dead. I was like, Hopper's dying.
Steve, Robin, and Nancy were all.
That crew's dying. this is where they're
Mhm.
gonna have to be like, we have to figure something out. And
Yeah, if all
obviously,
of them died, then we knew they for sure were gonna do
yeah,
Endgame,
then it
right?
was
Like
gonna
that
be
was like
Endgame.
being snapped. It
But
was like,
Yeah.
oh
it's
no.
like, okay, this is here we go again.
Yeah, they had to be really careful of like if they do kill off 5 people, we
Yeah.
know, okay, well you can't do that
But I
because that doesn't
do
make any sense.
think that Max being alive obviously means there's more for her to do.
Yeah, but it's
Mhm.
still at the cost of something. Like I
Yeah.
don't think she's ever gonna see again.
Yeah,
She might be able to
she's-
like walk again, but like there's gonna be some
she's kind
permanent.
of she's probably there. Is it Bran Stark, whatever Stark brother
Yeah, maybe
it is in Game of Thrones? That's
Bran.
Michael
Yeah.
Biff.
is it Bran? Okay,
Yeah.
I can remember. Yeah, because he's
She
not
could just be the Raven
blind.
or whatever.
He's
That's
just
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. She can
Well, and there
see.
was like a cool tie-in to like Elle's mom, kind of is in
Yeah.
this state too, where she's still kind of
I
like
keep
she's in it for a different reason,
keep
but
wondering if we're gonna come
Mhm.
back to her ever. It doesn't seem like it, but I mean,
Yeah.
Now, I mean, season 5 could be anything.
And her mind was
Mhm.
pretty much empty, except I think there was just like a TV that she could look at, if
Yeah,
I'm not mistaken.
she
So
was
like,
able to like find some stuff out that way
yeah.
in season 2, I
So
guess.
maybe she'll start to explore Max's mind, and we'll get her.
That's what I would think.
I think in some ways because she didn't die, that could lead to
Yeah,
a reason to take down Vecna. Like,
I'm sure
Mhm.
season 5. I think season 5 will be not that we want people to die, but I think season 5 will be the season of sacrifices.
Mm.
Yeah. Great loss.
Yeah, but a lot of great loss. Hopper could really go out this time.
hmm
I don't know if they would do that again. I feel like if you almost die
hmm
and then you didn't die, that you won't
right,
this time around. But Hopper could, Will could,
yeah.
Jonathan could.
I do think this did set up. I mean, like, there's obviously some losses,
Yeah,
but for the most part, like everyone kind of got what they were looking for. Like Vecna still kind of succeeded, but didn't completely. Um, the team kind of succeeded, but still lost. Like
Mhm.
it just kind of shows you
Mhm.
like this was how the Avengers were. It's like if we
Yeah.
weren't split up, we could have probably won. You know,
Yeah.
like, and I think
Mhm.
that's why Vecna's been taking his time because I think he's like on a good day. I still probably could get screwed by you guys. For
Yeah.
some reason, this Steve guy with a bat is still pretty
What
powerful.
did
So
we think? What did we think of? It honestly didn't. It kind of didn't go too much further, other than just Jason's crew. But like last or volume 1, Jason had this whole just town of people like up in
Mhm.
arms, and then we really only
Mhm.
see him and his friends go to the Creel house to try and quote unquote stop Lucas and because he thinks they're still all in the cult.
Mhm.
Did the town? I mean, everyone was still kind of thinking Eddie was behind all of this, but what did we think of Jason and his crew? Did they add anything? Could they have done
I think it
more?
wrapped up too easily.
Yeah.
Like the earthquake covered everything, and then his body like disintegrates, and
Mhm.
it's like, oh, I
Classic.
guess everything's fine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think it was a little too simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
But
think they were spread thin though because they just created such pandemonium that like they were getting leads about everything. And so like
Yeah.
at that one point he's like, just send someone else. This is all bullshit. And then he's like, no, I think this actually is legit. And then he
Mhm.
finally goes. So like it made sense that it was just Jason to
Yeah.
me. Uh, and it was cool that Lucas and him got a chance to finally be like,
Let's go.
I wanted to be popular, but now I don't want to because you suck.
Sam versus
Essentially.
And
Goldust.
Jason like went down fast. I mean, like he went from like jock to like kind of crazy to like sunken eye. Like whatever they did to him between the last 2 episodes from his speech, they did a good job of making him look very like
Yeah.
I'm gone, dude. This is
Yeah.
wild.
He's just
He's not
completely
even flayed, but
unraveled.
he's flayed. You know what I mean? Like it's
Mhm.
weird.
He was what?
He's not flayed like Billy,
like
but he's
Billy.
flayed.
He's
He
yeah.
basically looks like he is. Pretty crazy. Hmm. Um, Griff brought up a good question though. Do you guys feel like um 8 is completely forgotten from the show, or do you think that they are going to somehow tie her back in from that episode that we don't really
That
talk
does not
about anymore.
exist.
I hope not.
I don't
personally.
think so.
You don't think so? Griff, what reasons did you think she might come back?
Oh, I didn't think she'd come back. I just didn't know what the relevancy was, or if at the time they just
Yeah.
threw it in there because
Feels weird to just add it.
yeah,
If
but
it
then
means
like
nothing.
now they're just like, oh, let's forget about that episode that ever happened.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I always thought it now. I mean, I guess now I think the only reference it does make is Vecna's ability to like give visions to people because that was her power. But yeah, I guess I don't know. I could see them bringing her back just because it's the last season. But I don't really know what she could add to the team at this
Yeah,
point.
it's not like you're gonna get
Mhm.
like a moment where it's like they're all trapped around the corner and then 8 shows up and then the crowd goes wild because it's their favorite character back
Yeah.
from. It's not like
Yeah.
a Mjolnir moment. It's like a
Mhm.
cool,
This is our portal
I guess.
scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It does make you wonder though, like why they put in that effort though
I'm
to
sure
not do anything with it.
now it
Spin-off.
seems more like it was just a way to add more
Spin-off.
kids
Yeah.
to it, and I mean, like they kind of did it even better with the
Mhm.
whole Vecna being one.
Yeah.
And then like all the flashbacks of the other kids, but
Here's another
Mhm.
prediction. Do you guys think in the final battle of season 5, Elle will just start to open up gates all around her, and maybe Bob and Barb and Billy
No,
we're
get
and
outta here.
Eddie start showing
Nick,
up,
you're going too far.
and
We're
you
not
start hearing the
multiversing
song, and it
madness
goes
any of
dun
this
dun
where it's
dun
like
dun bum bum ba dun dun dun.
on your left.
You just hear the Stranger Things tune, and everybody starts going up from the back.
running up the hill.
It's running up
Oh,
the
let's
hill.
go.
Dude, the final like battle between all of them and Vecna, and they start playing running up the hill.
And they're throwing
That
Molotovs.
that gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
I almost cried at that.
That
Yeah,
was
that
pretty
was
epic.
awesome.
I think the best moment of this, like these 2 episodes, was that and the stuff happening with Sam and
Stop
Nick.
saying
You had
Sam.
me. Oh God, dang it! I don't know why. But
It's not even close to Max.
it's I got the same middle letter,
3
but
letters.
Same middle letter. Anyway, go on.
but like, oh, now I'm just lost.
I
Great.
feel like there's gonna be a Sam in season 5.
Yeah,
I would
that'll
love
help
that.
me.
I would love
He's
I'm
that.
just
manifesting
predicting.
a
I'm
Sam.
predicting the character.
Sam comes
But
to the portal, and we're gonna be like,
The
"What
part,
the
yeah.
hell?"
When you were crying about Eddie, I was crying about Max because like I thought
Yeah.
that was the connection to the Dear Billy episode where she's like
Yeah.
I don't want to go, and then she literally dies.
Yep.
I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, that just breaks my heart, and I wanted that to stay that way.
Mm.
But I felt like it was almost a little cheap, like being like, anyways, she's back. But
Mhm.
a shotgun to the chest of Vecna healed a little bit of that.
Mhm. I
Yeah,
personally
nice.
thought that not Max in particular, but just any of the original crew would have been killed by Vecna, and because I mean, like, because like we talked about, there's a lot of similarities between Infinity War and Endgame and Empire Strikes Back, and with Thanos snapping his fingers, killing half of the population, that left a big hole in that universe. And I felt like if Vecna would have killed one of our original crew, it would have not only left a big hole in the crew, but also in every fan's hearts, which would have made season 5 like there have been so much more riding on it.
Yeah.
But I see why they didn't, because I mean, I'm assuming they didn't want to completely copy and paste from either the Marvel or the Star Wars universe. But I thought somebody really, really, really important was going to die, but who knows? Maybe it'll happen next
I will
season.
say the earthquake affecting Hawkins was a big enough stake to
Yeah.
like have some consequence. It wasn't just like and nothing happens and Vecna's still in the upside down and he hasn't done anything. Like opening the portal, opening the gates and him, succeeding. Like,
Mhm.
Empire Strikes Back, whatever. like that felt like, okay, there has been some momentum and they are on the back foot now. Like they didn't win. They like did all of this and they thought they're gonna win, but they didn't.
Hmm.
And even one of them was injured, almost dead, and they lost a guy. They lost Eddie. So it's like there was some stakes that I felt were good. I just felt like they could have done a little bit more, but I'm now
Yeah.
assuming they'll do it in 5.
Yeah.
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 I really liked, and this doesn't tie into Infinity War, but it does kind of tie into like I do enjoy that Vecna is that villain who's just like, I'm so confident I'm going to win. Nancy, hear me out. I want you to prophesy like what I'm gonna do. And like it's
Mhm.
starting to come true, which is pretty crazy. Especially since like we talked about time travel and stuff in the last episode, but it's like, can he actually see the future? Because he knew exactly how it was all gonna go down. Like
Yeah.
there is some weird
It did happen.
like the scene that she saw is the scene that we saw
Yeah.
happen
Mhm.
too. We didn't get to see all of the stuff. She talks about like a giant creature that like with a gaping maw and like sounds like there's one big ass like dragon thing
Big
that's
old fucking
left.
ass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
Season
I'll
5?
go.
Question mark.
Some people have kind of scoured the D&D catalogs for like what kind of monster could that possibly be, and they think they might have found one, and it's just this like giant T-Rex of a dinosaur type scary monster. And like it's so big that like when it attacks, they said it is you would assume that a natural disaster took place wherever it attacked, and it's like, oh, well, Hawkins looks like it might have had a natural disaster happen right in the center of town. So like this thing that was like earthquaking in the upside down might also be like his ace in the hole. Like he might have discovered not only the mind flayer, but he might have like found some sort of beast and like is his like we might have Vecna with like machine guns on back of a T-Rex season 5. It's gonna be sick.
Here for it.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Maybe not machine guns, but we'll see. Who knows what he can conjure up?
Squelching tentacles.
Squelching, wetly tentacles. Yep. So that'll be interesting to see how that all plays out.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you guys. I think it could have been heightened by maybe another death, but I feel like there were some things added by maybe even not killing Max, but having this like level of like, is this even worse somehow? Because there's like it's just emptiness in where she is, like
Yeah.
this could be really
It
messed up
depends on
for
what they
next
do with
season.
her. I like
Yeah.
if they do that well, then yeah, great. But in this moment, I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And this season has given me so much faith that they actually do know what they're doing and where it's going that I'm like excited now to see it all come to fruition because I
Yeah.
think for a while I was like, okay, the mind flayer. Okay, the mind flayer with meat on its body. Okay, I don't really know where this is going. And then they clearly explained that he was kind of the master puppet,
Yeah.
or the puppet master. Um, which was like a cool song, not only for him to play metal, but also like a theme of like this guy has been puppeteering a lot
Yeah.
of stuff,
Mhm.
and
It
so
even foreshadowed just because at that point we hadn't known
Mhm.
Vecna was truly behind all of it.
Yeah.
And it did also kind of foreshadow. Yeah.
And Dustin kind of led us astray by saying maybe he's like the 5-star general.
Yeah, that was a good way to throw us off too, because he's like, "Hey, Mind Flayers are out there. This could be,
Yeah.
his number one guy." But
Yeah. All right. Well, do any of you guys have any predictions for season 5? Anything that you're hoping for, perhaps? Levi, you got any hopes for season 5?
Well, kind of like piggybacking off of my original thoughts. Like I just hope they don't mess it up. I hope that they do these characters justice because, like I said before, this is the last season with Mike, Dustin, L, Lucas, Will, Jonathan. All of our original crew. This is the final season, much like Endgame, and then after season 5, they're doing a bunch of spin-off shows. So I want them to do it right. I don't care who lives or dies. I just want it done right. I want it done good and not just like, and this is the 5th season, this is the 5th season, the final season, we're just going to look to the spin-off shows and put all our effort there, and this is kind of just like meh, whatever. I don't think that they're going to do that because they know the fan base that they have, and they know that all these fans love these characters and have grown with them from seasons 1 all the way up to this next final season. um Unpopular, maybe angering opinion. I think 11 might die in this final season, because if they're going to continue to do spin-off shows, I mean,
Yeah.
they
That's a
might
good
want to
point.
eliminate they might want to eliminate a hero and introduce a different hero with a different, kind of thing. So I mean, Elle's obviously an amazing character, and I would hate to see her go, but I'd understand why. But that's just kind of like my prediction. Maybe Nancy and um, Steve get their relationship. They get their kids. Maybe because I mean, like we were left with a bit of a uneasiness between Will and Nancy. I mean, not Will. Jonathan and Nancy. It was like Jonathan was like, "Hey, are we okay?" And she's like, "Oh yeah," but it's like, I don't know about that. So we could see Steve and Nancy get back together. What's going to happen with Joyce and Hopper? Are they gonna? I mean, is one of them gonna die? Are they gonna be together? Like, I don't know how everything's gonna play out. I think it's too early to think, but I do think 11 might die.
Wolf.
Oof.
That could be.
I think that's probably one of the biggest like predictions one can
Mhm.
make too. I mean, it's a very likely
hmm
prediction though, honestly. I agree.
It might be too that they just need to take all the players off the board, kind of a thing. Like, hey, if Vecna dies, it might be at the cost of like just
Yeah.
anyone that has this ability needs to not be here anymore, kind of a thing.
I think anyone
Yeah.
that's like I think everyone has their importance, but yeah, anyone that is of a little bit more importance has much
hmm
more potential to die than some, but I think if I had to say one person will not die, uh I think I think it's Joyce. I think if one person was going to die and shock me the most, I think it would be Joyce.
That would be pretty
Cuz
wild.
I feel like
mm
she's pretty safe. She's also like I mean she's like the original leader of this like just the
That's
entire
true.
squad in general is like as the day Will went missing, she's like, "Nope,
Yeah,
something's up," and
hmm
she never stopped. So I think
Yeah.
Joyce will still keep being Joyce, but
fair enough.
that's not like my predictions or anything. But I mean,
Yeah.
I think
Michael, what's your prediction for season 5? Or any hopes?
Not much. I would say, hey, I just hope it's good. But after this season, I'm like, yeah, I know there's care, in
hmm
Yeah.
this that I can see, and they're treating the characters right. Um, also, I just thought of this now. The end of the episode of the season, they're running up that hill and looking out the end of the
hmm
Hawkins, but they're not going to run up the hill and make a deal with God. They're going to make a deal with the devil. Whoa,
Yeah.
Whoa.
because Vecna.
woof.
Because Vecna is the devil.
I like that.
Yes,
Nice. I got it.
I see it. No, I'm excited. That's it.
Would you like a giant Dima T-Rex?
Yeah, that's if there's one thing in my
Oh,
life that I want right now, it's a giant Dema T-Rex, and then maybe like Hopper with a sword, like riding its back. I don't know.
Yep.
Get a Dune sandworm in there too, or something.
The Demosaurus.
Speaking my
Demosaurus
language.
Rex.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it was
Dune.
Shai
Terrible purpose.
Halud's about to come
Yeah.
up through Hawkins. Thankfully, we have at least a Dune movie coming out that we
Can
can
you imagine if they're
the
like
crossover.
Timothy Chalamet's going to be in season 5?
Yeah,
of
the
Stranger
Duffer Brothers and Denis Villeneuve
Jesus.
give you Stranger Things 5, and everyone just dies immediately because it's like the greatest thing
Stranger
ever.
Dunes 5.
It's like a die of excitement. Griff, what's your hopes and predictions for season 5?
well, I think it's gonna be wild. I don't
hmm
really know how they're gonna. I don't know. I guess what the game plan is to fix what's already been
Mm.
done. Because I feel like if you Infinity War wise, you kind of you didn't know how to fix it, but you knew like what could be done to fix it because you kind of knew like time travel something, blah blah blah. But this, I don't. I know they're gonna do good things with it, but I don't really know where it's
Mhm.
headed.
Yeah. Who do you think lives, dies? Is there anyone you're hoping dies?
Hoping dies. I think Steve is gonna die.
Oh, Griff, what
Right
are you doing
before
to
he
me?
gets to be a dad.
I don't hope he dies, but I think Steve is finally gonna get Nancy, and then he's gonna bite the bullet.
They're gonna have a big old kiss, but then he's gonna have a big old kiss with death.
Yeah,
Well
like
said.
that. I like that, but I also hate it.
yeah.
I love it, but I also hate it.
But
Yeah. That would
Anybody else
be.
you can think of?
I don't know if you
um,
guys heard. There's, I mean, the Duffer Brothers released that there's going to be a fairly big time jump between these next seasons.
I like
Obviously,
Interesting.
because
Oh,
the aging of the characters and the actors as well. But there's going to be, I don't know how many, I don't know how long, they didn't say, but there's going to be a significant time jump. It might not be as like 5 years like between Infinity War and Endgame. It might be 2 years. But I'm curious to see what happens with the world. Um,
Yeah.
because at the
There's
very end we saw those flowers and all that stuff wilting and kind of all rotting
Mhm.
away from the infection from the upside down. But Vecna also said, I want, to take over Hawkins. He didn't say I want to take over the world. Like, so is it
Hmm.
going to just affect Hawkins, or is this going to spread, and that spreading to other areas of the world is what's going to take place in the spin-off series or the spin-off movies, because they also talked about doing movies instead of shows for the spin-offs. So there's just
Interesting.
a lot to think about.
Yeah.
I think one of my predictions, now that because after the 2 days later, after
Mhm.
11 saves Max, the first thing we see is like everyone just leaving Hawkins
Yep.
for right reasons. So one prediction I thought of is if there is a time jump, I was actually thinking that would also make sense. I hadn't heard that they said there would be one, but it would make sense if okay, if this is only happening in Hawkins, let's contain it. And so maybe for the last like year, 2 years, however long this has been happening, maybe our crew is just there with maybe the government or whoever that's like fighting. Maybe we're just like in a war
Already
zone
in the
of
war
them.
with
Like
them.
they've just now they're
like
containing.
a giant quarantine zone type.
Yeah,
Mm.
they're
Yep.
quarantining and containing what is going on in
Interesting.
Hawkins, and maybe they've built like I don't know how they would do it that fast, but maybe they've built
A wall.
barriers to keep everything in while
Mm.
trying to contain everything and figure out how to reverse it.
Interesting. Yeah, and it sounds like there's going to be new creatures of some kind because the
Oh
way
man,
Nancy had described it was
I
like
mean,
there's
that's
other
there's
creatures.
been a new
Hmm.
there's kind of been a new monster almost every season. I'd
Yeah.
say
Mhm.
I guess the third season was like just kind of
Right.
the human mind flayer. So like
Yeah.
the people were actually the
Yeah.
creatures and not like just new Dimma
The meat flare.
something. But the meat flayer, correct? Yeah, true. Chef Boyardee.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Pretty
I'm
much
not
what it
gonna
looks
you
like.
no, I'm not gonna be able to eat those the same
SpaghettiOs.
ever
Uh-oh,
again.
SpaghettiOs.
Ugh.
uh, shit. What was what else was I gonna say? But no, I would like
Really
to
liked.
see. Oh yeah, and then I was gonna agree on like they have to do something with like
Yeah.
time being different in the upside down. So maybe I feel like that's at this point we can maybe just think that's the way they're gonna fix this is by somehow fixing it through time, but
Mhm.
that'll have to come up. Otherwise, I don't think they would have done what they did with it because
Yeah, I agree.
it makes sense.
We'll see what they end up doing. Yeah, there might need to be a time jump. I hope it doesn't like erase everything like a Days of Future Past type thing, but maybe they'll do something cool with it.
Yeah, maybe
Um,
we'll bring Eddie back.
I think someone who isn't safe and wasn't in this season, I think one of the deaths in season 5 will be Mr. Clark. He's gonna come in.
Oh yeah,
He's gonna
no.
tell them how to do something really cool.
No way.
They're all signing their college applications, leaving Hawkins, just like, hey, gotta go to college, maybe save the world later. And he's like, hey, it's time to fight. And they're like, but science. He's like, no, it's time to fight. And then he gets eaten by a Demogorgon. That's what I think's
We
gonna happen.
also didn't see Dr. Owens after episode 8.
Yeah, Owens might not be in a good spot.
He's probably stuck with government too.
I'm thinking Ted Wheeler gets a cool scene where he helps protect the Wheeler fam, but he definitely dies. But he gets like one heroic moment where he like attacks the Demogorgon with like his microwave dinner or something and wins.
Just throws
For
his
a
lazy
second.
chair at him.
Yeah, throws the chair. Says something like kids these days, and then like beats the shit out of a Demogorgon.
Wow, that'd be the
And then-
most redemptive arc of any character.
Right? There'll be something because like they keep him in here for some reason when they could just say,
I feel
Mrs.
like
Wheeler's a single mom.
He's the slowest build up.
Yeah, he's gonna pop off. He is number 12. No, I'm just.
Whoa!
Stop. No, what if he's-
Why is this 50-year-old man
What if
number
he's
12?
0?
What if he's yeah?
He's future
Negative
Vecna, but
1.
from the past.
Oh, perfect.
You guys think Murray's gonna die?
Murray's in that gray area where he could definitely bite it, or he could be safe.
Fingers of arrows.
That's right.
And I don't.
Shoes of spears or something.
Yeah.
Legs of spears. Yeah.
Mhm.
Also, shout out to Murray. Just
Yeah,
all
Murray had a good season.
Did we figure out if that school counselor had anything to do with like any of the?
I don't think so.
That was a big question people had, but I think at this point, I don't know if they're going to go back and revisit it.
Okay.
But it was curious that like all of his victims were meeting with her, and she had like
that key necklace to
like
Yeah.
key clock necklace
Mhm.
thing, and it was like a lot of red herrings. That's why it's so hard to not look at those little details and just be like, they're not important.
And they're like,
Because sometimes they do that, where
Yeah,
it's just like,
literally
why?
forgot Will's birthday, and it wasn't important to the rest of the
Yeah,
show.
The
Like,
Duffer
that's-
Brothers, yeah.
like, how did they end up picking that date? And
There's little things
forgot
like
it was
that.
Will's birthday. I don't know.
Agreed. Well, gentlemen, I think we are in for an interesting and hopefully very exciting season. This was a blast. I think we did it justice. I appreciate you all making the time on this glorious weekend of freedom that we're celebrating.
God bless America.
God bless America. God bless Hawkins.
Mhm.
God
And
bless
Tom
Eddie.
Cruise. Maybe Tom Cruise. That's my prediction for the next cameo of season 5.
They Top Gun it.
Yep. There's
On
like,
the
have you heard of this
left
guy named Maverick? And it's just, yep. Yeah.
One last thing I
Unfortunately,
want to
oh,
say.
go ahead.
So you remember how Will's birthday was March 23rd?
Yes.
And the Duffer Brothers said whatever, like that was a mistake, especially because like when Elf was bullied at the rink, they changed it. The Duffer Brothers
Oh,
went
like
back
if
to
you
that
go back-
scene.
Really?
I just pulled it up and it says March 22nd. They changed it because it was
Oh,
just a
wow.
complete mistake.
Wow.
Of all
yeah.
dates, they accidentally picked.
That's insane. I know that they did say that they are retroactively fixing things in the show. So like season 1 through 3 are having small edits that like if you go back
Really?
and watch them now are different.
So they're just
Like
gonna
what?
take out episodes.
I have no idea. They haven't said, but they've like I don't think it's like huge things, but I think it's just like minor little
Well, there's like they do that
edits.
with like Mandalorian had a guy like a
Oh yeah, Gene's
crew
guy.
member like just
Gene's guy.
Gene's guy in the background, and now he's like
Yeah.
vanished. And
So
Game of
that's the one
Thrones
nice thing
has
about
its own
the streaming stuff is they can technically just copy and
Mhm.
paste out of there.
It's just- they can just go. They can do whatever. But
Hopefully it's not like huge where it's like, hey everyone, you need to go rewatch this episode because it's not the same episode anymore.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
I thought maybe there's going to be a prediction of like, oh, we're in a new timeline or something.
Yeah. That'd be pretty wild. But I do think Will is gonna have a big season. I mean, they already kind of teed it up. Also, the thing I liked, the last touch that they did was the theme song finally comes on at the very end of the
Oh,
show, which it
dude,
never
yeah.
has.
Yeah.
And it's when he gets his like spider sense of like, hey, he's still here, and it's happening, and it's like it's good that Will's back. Like Will's gonna be
And
big
he
time.
Even said that he's like, now that we're back in Hawkins, I can since it.
And he always called him he when he was like taking over. Like he knew that the thing was like he,
Yeah.
but he just never could put a name to it. And so I think this will almost help him because now he has like, we know the history, so maybe he can use that against him. It's like Vecna's, ironically, like the human race's like connection to you is what's going to be your downfall when you want it to be nothing
Yeah.
human at all, you know? So it's going to be great.
Just gonna yell at him like it too.
Yeah, you suck. He's like, oh shit, that hurts. My claw went away.
You're tiny and you're wrinkly and you have no nose.
You look like ground beef. He's like, oh, it just turns into like a little clown. Dies.
I have one last thing.
Yes.
The time situation stuck in the upside down. So
Mhm.
since the upside down is also in the normal world, is time gonna stop in Hawkins?
Ooh, that's interesting.
Ooh.
Oh,
Or is
wow.
time going to continue in the
Or
upside
will
Or
it
down?
around
remain like
Oh yeah, either way.
That's interesting.
I don't know. It seems like things in Hawkins are still able to do like they had the gym. They were like filling it with all the donate, which I thought was wild because I was like, isn't that pretty close to where like Earth
Down
isn't
south.
anymore? And they were like doing all this stuff, but apparently, maybe by hurting Vecna when they did, the earthquake took place, but his invasion didn't. Like maybe he's like retreated
I think it has to do with, oh my, I almost called her Sam again. It has to do with Max because she's still like holding on. She's not technically dead, right?
So there's like
Yeah.
a pause. It's like he got her, but didn't completely get her. So it's almost like a fight for Max.
so do you
Yeah.
think
Hmm.
since Max is not completely dead, she could be in maybe she's stuck in Vecna's mind and Eleven's gonna have to go back and
Round 2, maybe.
see what's happening in
That could be
That's
cool.
most likely, yeah.
Yeah.
That could be interesting.
So many possibilities.
Yeah. And not any predictable ones that I could have thought of. Like this
Mm-mm.
definitely went a direction I wasn't expecting, but I've enjoyed it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think we can safely say we can't truly predict what's gonna happen in season 5, but I'm excited either way.
And the truth is, no matter how many strange things we've seen, there's always stranger things.
Whoa.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You like that one, Michael?
I do.
Oh,
That's
that
when
one was for you, my guy.
Thank you. That's when I said I liked it. Is when I said that I liked it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
It's the same. Well, I appreciate you guys all being on. You've heard Stranger Things. You've heard of Stranger Things. But now you've heard of Stranger Things from us. Not us united. Thank you, everybody. Boom.
Adios.
See you.
Good job,
Okay.
guys. We did it.
We did it.
We
We-
did
we-
it!
Stop. You've just listened to Not Us United. You can find us under Not Us United on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Please leave us a review and consider subscribing to our podcast. You can reach out for future podcast topic suggestions at notusunitedpod@gmail.com.